All right, folks, welcome back to this week's episode of What's Your Story? My name is Scott Rankin, and I am your host. And this week, I'm going to take you back to a small town of Coal Run in the summer of 1981. I was about 8 years old, and school had just let out for the summer. Myself and Chad Lorelli, Brooke Lorelli, and Mike Slansky were getting our game on in the woods, and we were getting our fortresses built. We were getting our vines cleared out so we could, have our summer of fun. That was one of the joys of growing up in the country. One of the greater things of growing up in the country was the fact that, I come from this little small village, maybe about 500 people population, small. It was a coal camp, right? And but the good thing about that was I had a lot of parents, I had a lot of moms, I had a lot of dads, I had a lot of grandparents, I had a lot of caregivers and guardians, if you will, growing up. They always made sure that the kids were taken care of. There was nowhere you could go where there wasn't an eye on you. Okay, so this Saturday morning, I just happened to have the responsibility of going to Maysville to cut grass with my grandpa, and he was kind of showing me the ropes, and at 8 years old, he was my hero. I was his sidekick. I was kind of glued to his side, all summer long, and pretty much throughout the year as well. But so I'm looking at my watch and I realize, oh crap, it's time to go. Pap's going to be at the house in about 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes to pick me up. And so I tell the guys, hey, I got to go. And Chad says, hey, we'll race you. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. He said, we'll take the path. You take the road. We'll see who gets there faster. I'm like, okay, fine. So we all run up to Mike's house, jump on our bikes. The rallies take off for the path, and I take off down the road. Now, it's a hill. We were on what's considered the third row, and then you have the middle row, and then the first row where I lived, First Street. And so I'm flying down the hill, and at the bottom there's a stop sign. Stop signs on the right, and it's kind of like a T intersection. On the left-hand side is our post office, and on the right-hand side is Mr. Sherman's house, right? And there's a bunch of homes, on that road there going up the hill. And so I'm flying down the hill. I'm like, I'm catching speed. I'm flying like a rocket, And as I come down to the bottom, I have a choice to make. I can either hug the inside of the turn and just keep my momentum going, or I can take the jump poof, and go flying out to the back of the post office yard and, cut through the grass and then go through that way. Well, I decide I got way too much stinking speed and there's no way I'm going to stop. I'm just going to hug that inside of that turn. And that's exactly what I did. I crossed over from one side of the road to the other, and I come around that turn. Unbeknownst to me, here comes this brown tannish two-door Monte Carlo coming in the opposite direction. And without a split second, I got to tell you, it happened so stinking fast, but it happened so slow. Here I am flying. It was like something out of a movie where I could just see myself, and then poof, I hit the ground and I'm looking straight up to the heavens. And in a split second, standing over me is this guy that's about probably 8 or 9 feet tall. When you're 8 years old and you're about 4 nothing, Mike Savage was the man. Mike Savage, the second, was the man, and Mike was a tall guy. He's still a tall guy, but at that time, when you're 4 foot nothing, he made Andre the Giant look like a shrimp, dude. Right? So Mike looks over at me, and I could see in his face that he was just so upset, so scared, and he realizes that I'm alive. I'm okay. And not for long, Mike picks me up off the ground like a rag doll. He's like, what is wrong with you? And he opens the door, he warms my behind, he tosses me in the car. He says, I'm taking you home to your mother. And he throws my bike in the trunk, right? And I'm thinking, dear Lord, my mother's not home. My grandmother is. And let me tell you, this was worse because I didn't know if my grandmother was a sailor or a truck driver, because she had a certain way of getting her point across. I mean, some of the words that she would say would probably make a sailor blush. I'm not even joking about this, right? And so Mike whips the car around, and his car was okay. My bike was a little banged up, and I was okay. More scared than anything. And as well, I should be. I just ran into a freaking car. And so Mike pulls into the driveway. My grandmother's out in the backyard hanging clothes on the line. She knew something wasn't right. Mike gets out of the car. He looks up at her, and she just drops the clothes, and She starts walking right down